Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 14116 Southeast East Ridge Court here in Portland. Located down the basement, we are up against the front foundation wall of the house. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the home. So this is approximately about where the front door area is. If you were to walk through that wall there, it's kind of in that realm. We've got a 4-inch ABS cleanout, water's running. We're going to zero out the foot counter here at the base of the cleanout. Off we go. Right out of the gate, that is a very nice, clean looking flow line. That's exactly how you want your pipe to look. And that is made possible by about one living habit. That's not putting all your bacon grease and cooking oil down the line. So I highly recommend keeping up the same habits. This spot, for instance, we're going into an area here with some fairly, this is very minor standing water. I've got a bathtub running full bore, which is going to exaggerate even a 1/4 inch of water into what looks like an inch. But that spot right there is a very benign, minor spot that would never cause a problem unless you're abusing the heck out of this thing. But if you're putting a lot of cooking oil and grease down the line, that's a spot where it will tend to concentrate. So if you abuse the line enough with something like cooking oil and grease, you can turn an otherwise very benign minor low spot in the line into something that has the potential anyway to lead to an issue. So that one's not the best example of that. Usually, I'm talking more like bellies with inches of water in them that are getting to that point. That's a belly there that would handle a bit of abuse, honestly. Not that you should do that, but just so you know. We just transitioned there over to 6-inch concrete. Now, in these days, with the advent of epoxy liners, although you'd have to check if we're in straight up incorporated Multnomah County, everything in the roadway beyond the curb falls into city responsibility. For some reason, this is a location that's outside of that. It behooves you to keep an eye on your concrete pipe, scope it here and there. The joints are the first thing that usually start to wear out over time. And when they get to the point where they are open to the ground, allowing groundwater, dirt to seep in, you start to see evidence of hydro erosion and settling. That's where you want to start looking at the prospect of doing an epoxy liner. The reason I recommend doing that in a case like this is cutting the road open is, you'd be talking 3, 4, or 5 times more expensive than doing a liner. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on these things. Scope them every 2-3 years just to monitor the condition and everything. We've hit the main here at about 66 feet. We're going to go locate while the pipe drains off, and then we'll take a better look at everything as we come back. All right, we're going to start pulling back here. Just located the camera head. Line terminates on Southeast East Ridge. The line makes its way out to the street through the front yard area, which is a nice thing if you ever have to do a repair. And from the sounds of it, talking to the home inspector, there is a toilet in the house that has a flapper that does not close all the way, so we're going to have a little bit of water trickle into the line the entire time. Anyway, just going off of, the line goes all the way to the middle of the road. So from the looks of it, it looks like essentially the entirety of the concrete section is out in the roadway, by and large. So, and not that this is problematic at this point in time. The stuff functions very nicely. It's clean, flows well. But it's a part or a type of pipe that it wears out in a different fashion than other pipe materials do. The joints are sealed up with grout, just another type of concrete. And when you get years and years of expansion, contraction of the soil, combined with just simply age, the grout starts to wear out over time. So if this is incorporated Multnomah County, everything from the face of the curb on out is city responsibility. So if that is the case, most, if not the entirety of that section of pipe falls into the city's responsibility. Oh, this is a superbly clean sewer line. This thing looks amazing. So your little belly here dissipates off right around 23 feet. And we've still got about a 1/16 of an inch or so water line moving through the pipe right now. So at that thing's worst point, you might have a 1/4 inch of standing water. That runs, it's about a 1/16 to a 1/4 inch. But get the thing fully drained out, we get a better. Either way, it's very insignificant. For reference, I don't even consider repairs on especially plastic pipe, and even more so 4-inch large diameter pipe with bellies, until you start getting to the inch of standing water realm. That's with no water running at all. For a minimum of 5 feet, even at that point, it is still almost entirely up to the homeowner as to whether it ever manifests itself. If you're blocking up a 5-foot belly with 1 inch of water in plastic pipe, it's about 95% the homeowner's fault. That's just the reality of bellies. You take a belly like that and you put it in old cast iron, concrete pipe with really rough pipe walls, a little bit different animal. That smooth plastic pipe is one of the greatest things that ever happened to sewer pipe. It has mitigated so many flow issues just because of the low friction. So as the line comes out, it does a little bit of a zig and a zag. Overall, it runs pretty darn straight. Anyway, we have good flow all the way to the main lateral connection. All the ABS pipe and concrete pipe we've just scoped there. From the foundation on out, all of it is in good condition, has good flow, and is functioning properly at this time. And to boot, absolutely spotless clean. You rarely get all of those things. I swear just about every good sewer line structurally that I look at, it's got a 1/2 inch thick layer of grease buildup in it. So, and if you want to keep your line that spiffy clean, the rule of thumb I tell most people to live by, as it relates to cooking oil and grease on your pans, if you have enough grease or cooking oil on your pans that if you were to turn them sideways, this is when the pan is warm or hot anyway, if there's enough on there that it will run off the pan in beads or worse, it's at that point you want to do something about it. Let the pan cool down, wipe it out with a paper towel, pour the grease into a glass jar. Don't put it in your garbage can, you're going to melt a hole through it. Anyway, it's when you've got real quantity on the pan, that's where it gets you. A thin little coating of Pam spray is no big deal. Hot water, soap handles that just fine. The key to keeping the line clean in those scenarios is keep your hot water running for about a minute longer after you're done washing the dishes. That helps to keep everything melted and emulsified until it makes its way out to the main lateral. So once your pipe, in this case, the line's underground for a lot of this, even under the house because it's slab. That pipe underground is cold all the time. So once that grease hits, gets underground, it starts to cool off pretty quick. So keeping that water running, piping hot, does a great deal to help keep things moving along. Anyway, very nice looking sewer line there, functioning properly at this time. The belly, once again, far, far too minor to need repairs.